The Fetterman campaign is blaming his performance on a faulty closed captioning system. We've got a little bit of video of the closed captioning system in operation here that we'll put up on the screen. It was a real-time thing, like any closed captioning. Every once in a while, there's a little bit of a typographical error, but you sort of read past that. But what do you think of the campaign saying, oh, he was bad because of this?
The campaign is asking people, voters of Pennsylvania and Americans who tuned in who don't live in Pennsylvania, to believe something that they saw is not true. Everybody watching the debate last night could see that John Fetterman, who is currently the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, is still having serious problems when it comes to his cognitive abilities. He's running for U.S. Senate. The idea of asking about fitness for office is an important one. It's a valid concern. He's asking to be voted into an office where he has to make very big decisions on legislation that affects the lives of people living and working in Pennsylvania and across the country, given that federal legislation affects everybody. And the campaign saying that it's really the issue of a closed captioning system is really an insult to the voters who are watching and seeing who they want to go to Washington, D.C. to represent them. The other thing is that, they wanted this debate to be 2 weeks before the election. Mm-hmm. Dr. Oz wanted it to be before early voting started.
625,000 votes
already underway. And so it's just an excuse for the continued cover-up that the campaign continues to engage in, which is John Fetterman's health not being what they said it was as recently as last night.
For the record, Nexstar Media, which put on the debate and handled the closed captioning, said this in a statement: "It's unfortunate that Mr. Fetterman is now criticizing the closed captioning process employed by Nexstar during tonight's debate. Both candidates agreed to the technical setup for the closed captioning process weeks ago, which was implemented at the request of the Fetterman campaign. Both candidates were offered the opportunity for 2 full rehearsals with the same equipment used in tonight's debate. Mr. Fetterman chose to only do one. The closed captioning process functioned as expected during rehearsal and again during tonight's debate. We regret that Mr. Fetterman and his campaign feel otherwise." Want to move on to what Justice Samuel Alito said in an interview at the Heritage Foundation regarding the leak of the Dobbs decision, putting the lives of Supreme Court justices in danger. Here's what he said. Listen here.
The leak also made those of us who were thought to be in the majority in support of overruling Roe and Casey targets for assassination, because it gave people a rational reason to think they could prevent that from happening by killing one of us.
And that's just not idle talk, because it happened.
It did happen. It's been 177 days since the Dobbs leak occurred. Chief Justice John Roberts said that it was a betrayal, and yet we haven't heard any information about who this leaker may be. And the issue is the consequences of what happened and the fallout as a result of this leak. You not only had the assassination attempt on Justice Brett Kavanaugh outside of his home, but Justice Alito had to be removed from his home and taken to a safe location. You then had raucous protesters showing up outside of the homes of Supreme Court justices.
Which were not condemned by the White House.
Every night. Were not condemned, was also illegal in places like Virginia. Not only not condemned by the White House, but encouraged. They told protesters to continue doing that. And then, of course, there was the issue of the leak trying to sow distrust between justices in order for them not to be able to do their job, as Justice Alito was talking about. It was about intimidation. It was released early to try and get justices to change their opinion at the court, with overruling Roe v. Wade and pushing the abortion issue back to the states. And that's the problem. If there's no accountability, if the American people aren't given a clear explanation about who did this, then it's not as serious as they said, and it also does not bode well for the future when it comes to trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices into making certain decisions.
That investigation has been going on for a long time, and still no indication of who the leaker was.
Indeed.
Katie, great to see you.
Good to see you,
Thanks
too.
for coming in.